But first, I want to read out almost in full the powerful closing statement of Zoe Rogers, one of the Filton 6 prisoners who spent more than a year on remand before being released on bail in February and who has now been acquitted. Here's Zoe's speech. As you've probably noticed, I decided to represent myself in this trial, not because my barrister was doing a good job or anything. We've actually become close friends, and I'm constantly telling the others I have the best barrister. I'm so grateful for everything she's done for me in this trial and the last. But this time, I wanted to be able to speak to you myself. During this trial, you've heard some very important evidence. You've heard that there are factories on British soil making weapons to send to Israel. You've heard that the drones they make include Thor VTOL quadcopters used to drop grenades, drones that are advertised as battle tested on Palestinians. You've heard that drones use AI to target children, and that Magni X surveillance drones work in tandem with killer drones, and that research and development carried out in the UK is vital to the Israeli military. You've also heard that the Filton site was opened by the Israeli ambassador, that it has export licenses to Israel, that Elbit itself is the backbone of the Israeli military. You heard how we tried every democratic means available to us, including demonstrations, fundraisers, encampments, petitions, writing to MPs, stickers leading to Amnesty International information about the apartheid, vigils, arms factory pickets. The list goes on, and how none of it worked. You heard how direct action is effective, how it ended apartheid during the civil rights movement in America, how it is being used in the UK today to shut down weapons factories, 4 of which have been closed permanently. You've heard that after we destroyed those drones, we were arrested for terrorism, were held incommunicado, spent 18 months in prison without trial. You've heard that this is a retrial. After hearing the 6 of us give evidence, you might think it odd that what's happening in Palestine has gone completely unmentioned. You might have noticed certain words that have been blacklisted, that until our closing speeches, the word genocide wasn't said once. There have been interruptions from the prosecution, quick subject changes from our barristers. It's almost as if whole topics of conversation have been banned. The prosecution know full well that we are right, that this factory is supplying weapons to Israel to be used in Gaza. That is why they are choosing to suppress it rather than contest it. The prosecution have decided that the legality of Israel's actions is irrelevant in this trial because they know you could not, in good conscience, find us guilty of anything if you are allowed to hear the whole truth. To find us guilty of criminal damage, you have to be sure. You might recognize the term beyond reasonable doubt. It's the same thing. The prosecution have to make you sure for you to be able to convict, but how can you be sure when you know you haven't heard the whole truth? Now, I'm an ordinary person with friends, family, a place at university, a cat I love. Basically, a whole lot to lose by going to prison. But you know that we all actually intended to be arrested on the 6th of August. We intended to go to trial, and I won't speak for the others here, but the reason I was willing and confident enough to allow that was because I knew that now, 20 months in the future, I would be standing in front of 12 ordinary people like you, not politicians, not legal experts, not barristers and judges wearing 400-year-old horsehair on their heads, but a panel of my equals. You are the best counterweight to power and tyranny within the legal system as it exists today. It is a privilege to be judged by you, and I don't say that to flatter you, but because, as you've already heard, the right to trial by jury is under threat, with a bill passing through the House of Commons as I speak. Juries, as we know them today, may not be around for much longer, precisely because your pockets cannot be weighed down by bribes from the rich and powerful, and also because juries often refuse to convict in these kinds of cases, and that is a very powerful position for you to be in. No one can tell you to convict in this case, not even the judge. In fact, the judge is explicitly not allowed to tell you to convict. You and only you can decide on your verdicts. But not only can you acquit us, you have the right to acquit us. No one can punish you for your decision. No one can even ask you why. I want you to know, however, that whatever you decide, I will not hold it against you. How can I, when you have been kept so in the dark? But you can be sure of one thing. I am proud. I am so proud that I took part in this. I am proud that I overcame my fear and took action. Because, of course, I was scared. You don't just break into an Israeli weapons factory for fun. And I can say with absolute certainty that this is the best thing I have ever done, because there is a good chance that because of our actions that night, innocent lives were saved. And so I will never be ashamed that I was on trial, that I have spent 18 months in prison, that I may face many more. You know that we have been treated as terrorists throughout this process. A domestic violence worker, 2 nursery school teachers, 1 Oxford graduate, and an artist, and me. It sounds dystopian, but it's true, just like the prescription of Palestine Action. But this time, you are the decision makers. And like what the prosecution and the government want you to be, you are not a rubber stamp. Don't fall into their trap. Find the 6 of us not guilty of criminal damage.